What would you consider a top priority to help improve student achievement?
For me, one of my concerns is I know that, and I can just talk to my son that's in grade. You know, I know his class, I think, has about 20, 22, 23 individuals, I think. I remember going to smaller class sizes for kids to get the individual attention. That's key to kids development, bottom line. And then, understanding that, that's something I would look in terms of having more resources available for to make that happen. That's one of the big things about, that's one of my big things is because each kid is important and we don't want any kid to get lost by being in a class that maybe too maybe too big or something like that, and not get the individual special needs that that kid may need to succeed just like everyone else. Give them a fair chance to succeed.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera.
You know, class size is always going to be an issue, and always tied to the budget and how much money you have available. Each teacher hire costs about $80,000 a year. It's the first year between salary and benefits. But class size has been manageable over the last 7 or 8 years. We've had classes that range anywhere from 15 to 24 students. I think this year's our average, and we do have, I think we have, most of the larger classes are the pre-K and 2 over a range of 22, 24 students. I went to Riverside, I had 35 kids in a class, 40 kids in a class, but that's not good enough. The biggest priority is in trying to help students succeed really comes down to making sure we've given the teachers and the students the tools, both by way of curriculum and materials and resources, so that the children can learn. You know, we have them for 6 hours a day, but they come from their homes, and some come from more challenged environments than others. And it's a very difficult task for our teachers, and I think they do a fantastic job. It's really a combination of things. It is making sure the physical plant is inviting and conducive to learn. And that's where we've got some rules over at Follow at 85 degrees from April 1st to the end of the school year, and from September through October. And you try to teach them and have kids learn up there in Billy's Lab, because he knows which room I'm talking about. You know, it's tough to have a teacher teach and a child learn in that environment. Resources, technology. I mean, this is a 21st century world, and the biggest thing we need to make sure our students have is the availability of having technology in the classroom so that they can take advantage of it, so that they can learn from it, because that's what they're going to be using as they take us through the first game of this century. So technology, we're actually ahead of the game for the other districts in RV, if you want to know. We have more technology in our classrooms and schools than the other. So I think it's a combination. It's teaching, curriculum, it's materials, and it's technology. Thank you.
Mr. Acker. I can repeat the question here.
I mean, I think the last two candidates pretty much hit the nail on the head. I mean, one thing I always like to preach about is I like to, one of my big things for the student development is I really think it's really retention and hiring of good quality teachers. I mean, I've seen good staff members come, spend a couple years here, I really get excited on what they're doing in the schools, and then unfortunately slip through the cracks because of either finding, they get a bigger, we want a bigger and better things. I know our hands are tied on what we can and can't pay administrators, teachers, and stuff of that nature, but it goes down to the grassroots. It goes down to having quality teachers that are excited about their job. I mean, I've thought about different ways of incentives to get that fire back in some of the teachers that truly enjoy teaching the youth and enjoy it. That's not a job. It's something that they're passionate about. And like Skip said, technology is a big thing, and it's the 21st century. And to keep the edge on things, we have to move with the times, within the best, one of the best reasons of our budget. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the main thing for me would be quality, keeping and hiring quality teachers, people that will be a good fit for our school district. Just because you're a qualified teacher doesn't mean you might not be a great fit for our school district. And that would be probably my main thing. They're the backbone of our students' classrooms. We're there to assist them in their needs to the best of our abilities so that they can educate our children and help them be the best student that they can be and give them the best education that they can. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez?
I agree with that. I agree with Skip or what his comment is. The main point is, we have technology, we can use it. We have resources, we can use it. Access is different. It's just, if you need extra help with the kids, the big kids are stay behind. You can, help them with their materials. And they, at the end of the day, they will appreciate it, or having good quality people that will listen and give you.
Thank you. Going to give a chance again, anyone have a question from the floor?
Steer one way, right?
Okay, I have another question. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Lopez, this time. Are you for or against the privatization of educational support staff, and please elaborate on your opinion? Like privatizing a certain section, whether it's assistants or custodial or...
I'm against. I'm against it.
Any reason why you're
Against, we should have our resident people, handle our school system, not just sector outside of our county. That's my opinion.
I mean, honestly, might not be the most popular decision, but I'm against privatization. I'm more for, honestly, I've been a union worker my whole adult childhood. I'm a blue-collar man through and through, and I like to keep the money with the people, not a privatization. I like to see the people from our community, like myself, grow up, go through a school district, and come back and serve as a staff member or something of that nature. And I like to be able to, as a board and to assist administration on keeping our money in our town to the best of our ability. I think it's, you can get better quality employees when you have control over that, instead of just having privatized and forced down your throat. That's pretty much all.
Mr. Real?
That's a hard one, because we actually have to look at that. We have to look at privatization of support staff. I guess it was 2 years ago, because of the dollar crunch. And, fortunately, we were able to avoid doing that. I think it's horrible. If you have to privatize, I would be the last person to vote for privatizing our maintenance staff. I don't know where we'd ever find people as dedicated as we have in this district, and the support staff as well. The balancing act that you have to engage in is, I guess it was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we had to take the paraprofessionals to part-time. And because we couldn't afford the help them. But we sat down as a board and said we wanted to do everything we could to save the jobs of the people in the community who lived here, who worked here. And we were able to do that, but the trade-off was, well, we couldn't give you health care benefits. I think that privatization, and I think that Hainesport, I think, just privatized their central maintenance staff, and I don't know how that's working out for them. I don't think that would be in our best interest, either as a community or for a school system to privatize that. What we have looked at is making sure we have the right staff that we need for the jobs by way of number of personnel. And we made some changes administratively and found that, well, that really wasn't serving the needs, so we in fact just brought back some part-time secretaries, as you know, to help balance the load, because our cost cutting, while it was necessary, didn't work out to be actually advantageous to us, so we made the adjustment. But I think privatizing staff at the support level and at the maintenance level, I think that's really the last option that you face. If it comes down to where you have to cut educational programs for children, or where you have to outsource, then I think you have to take that serious look. But I will give you an example. We outsource our substitute calling. We use source for teachers. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm a fan of that outfit as I am of the Dallas Cowboys. When you outsource now, you have to keep in mind that it may have an upfront savings, but what we discovered this year was a little third they wanted to put in the contract, which was the Affordable Care Act coverage. They wanted us as a board, talk about blowing your budget apart, they wanted us as a board to agree to reimburse them should their employees be subject to health care. And the resounding answer they got from us was a big fat no. But that's the hidden cost. You're not going to save dollars by outsourcing support staff when you're looking at the hidden costs and related factors. So I have no problem on the record saying, only as an absolute last resort, Titanic sinking, and that's where we're going to save people, and that's what we're going to do. But outside of that, I just don't see that being viable for us.
Follow up what Skip was saying, it is a tough decision. I think we have to look at all decisions and see what makes sense. Preferably, I'm not a fan of privatization, but also too, I need to know more of the details and exactly see what it is that they're offering versus what's currently in place. But understand that it's a tough decision that have to be made. But knowing more about the situation and looking at it from all aspects and seeing what makes sense for my island and for the school district, that's something I'm always going to do because for me, it has to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense to do it. So preferably, I'm not a fan of privatization because if they're going to take away local jobs and bring outside people in, then you're not going to do the local community. So the thing is, but it could be a situation where privatization could also benefit the local community. I don't know that, because I don't have all the details yet at this point. So I say that's a tough decision, tough question, but preferably I go right to saying I'm pretty much against privatization. But we need to look at all the facts first before we go and make a decision.
I'm going to have 4 more questions for you guys. Okay, and I'm going to, whoever wants to take this one first, that way you can bounce around and whoever wants to start first, go for it. How will you reach out to the community to help involve more shareholders in education? And I did not know these questions.
Repeat that question.
How will you reach out to the community to help involve more shareholders in education? You guys can all pass too, if you don't.
I'll take a stab. I've got 6.5 years at it, and the only way I can answer it, I'm damned if I know. The bottom line is this, is that I go back to the last 2 referendums. We had open houses, we had meetings, we had coffee classes. We had the open houses at the 3 schools, we got 1 person to stop by to take a look at what the need was. Look at tonight. You publicize tonight, and this is what you get. It's a very, very different dynamic in Mount Holly than it was 25 years ago. And anybody who's a long-term resident knows that and has seen that. It is very difficult to get people fired up about education. I mean, I came from Riverside, and I tell the story about Riverside. When we were seniors, Riverside also got Delran and Delanco's that day. When we were seniors in Riverside, they put us on a bus, take us to Burlington up to Griffin Pike, give us a tour, and then when we were done, give us an application. Because they said that was the best we could ever hope to do, was to go to work in the factories and mills like our fathers. Like, I tell you what, I used to go back and get my degrees, my college degree, my law degree, take it back and rub it up their noses. But the bottom line is that it's this mentality. I mean, we do community outreach. We do flyers and bulletins every week. We have the website that's getting better by the month, I think. I mean, I'll have all our policies. It's tough to generate interest when there's so many other things going on in everybody's lives. And education, unfortunately, isn't up here. It's not that it's not valued, don't get me wrong. It's not that education is not valued, but it's not on the horizon when you've got a husband and wife and a family trying to get everybody squared away because everybody works. You're trying to get the kids to everything else that they're doing. And it is the damnedest thing to try to find a methodology, and in fact, they offer courses on it at the the state school boards convention of how to do community outreach. And it's the same thing we do. It's the flyers, it's the phone calls, it's the personal contact. And really what it means is, I think in the future for us as a board, it means the 5 of us going out to the different organizations, some of which we're members of, and really locking them down and saying, I want 15 minutes of a meeting to talk about the schools. And that is something, quite frankly, we didn't get a chance to really talk about this year, but I'd like to see us develop a speakers bureau between the staff, the board, the administration, have a speakers bureau that's available, and send them out into the community. That's the only thing that we haven't really tried yet.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
Any ideas on that? Or-
Just to go to what Skip said, I mean, me being a township resident and everything, like, I've always felt the need, like, if someone actually reached out to me on a personal level, saw me, if you could justify why you need what you need, I'll buy into it. I mean, like it or not, for myself, you know, Skip hit the nail right on the head. I mean, word of mouth goes a long way, but, you know, I definitely agree with different clubs and being able to go and talk to them and to help them be advocates. Because it's just like the snowball thing. If you get the snowball rolling, all you can do is hope that it grows. So the more people that you reach out to and get a hold of, hopefully, God willing, you'll get your point across. I mean, you said, if you can honestly justify why you need it, and so you're not going to make everybody happy. Everybody's never going to agree with you. But the more people you actually do get to actually put that little spark in their head to actually just even think about it, you've reached. Hopefully that spark will grow into a fire and it'll become part of your team and help you move forward. But it's a tough feat, and there's no easy answer. But you just got to be very active, proactive at it. That's what Skip said.
Anyone else? Or?
For me, just to add to that, I look at it like this: it's an 80-20 rule. You have 80% of the people, 20% of 100% of the people. 80% of the people are just going to not do too much, and 20% will do all the work. Your goal is to reach that 20% in this situation, you know, through networking and things like that, because they will have a bigger or greater effect. To try to reach the masses at all times is not always going to be possible. So we should make a focused effort on reaching those 20% through the PTAs, PTOs, and the individuals that already participated to actually, you know, contribute, because they'll have a greater impact to reach more people and get the word out that way. So it's piggybacking based on what they're saying. Sometimes you got to look at it. Networking is tough, but a lot of people network every day and don't even realize it. So if you make that conscious effort every day, everybody individually on this board, or current members or future members, you'll make contacts with individuals, and you might be the right individuals that will hear your calls.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
For me, I'm reaching out to all diversity community in Spanish, and Spanish to the wide. With this resident, two number cheers, then if you want more, we expect different networks, like NBC, newspaper, social media, or even the internet.